Okay, looks like we are live. Let's do my check like I do. Which one is this? Whoa. All right. Get to the channel. Um, there we are. Looks like we are in business. Very good. Whoa. Okay. There we go. Now we are back. We should be dialed in. Give it a few minutes here for everyone to pop in. If we're going to pop in today. Good morning, everyone. My name is Thomas E. Davis, on your Republican primary ballot. And this is the ground truth from TN4. We've got some things we'll get into about this week, and then moving ahead and where we're at. We're winding this thing down, really, coming up to election. I think, what was our count? 28 days until early voting starts, and then 48 days until election day on August 6th. And that is, again, the Republican primary. If you want change in Tennessee's 4th Congressional District, that is where it happens. Let's lead off with my endorsers, if you will. Tactical Response up in Camden, great place to go receive training. They've endorsed me as a candidate. Foghouse Firearms in McMinnville, Campbell Armory in Grundy County, Tracy City, and Chandler's Hardwood, which is a firearm store in South Pittsburgh in Marion County. Thanks to those folks for endorsing me as a candidate. And then all you individual folks obviously endorsing me as part of the team. And those of you that are liking and sharing the comments on Facebook, especially, that's the predominant place for the campaign. But I appreciate everybody in the work that's going on. And it is growing. So we're picking it up, and we'll see where we land, but I'm excited for it to keep going and into the next one to make the general election. That'll be some really exciting stuff. So with that, actually, let's this week let's talk a little bit about our calendar first. So if you're not wanting to hang around, you don't have to, I guess. So tomorrow is our town hall out in Coffee County at the Veterans Center out there, 130 Shelton Road in Manchester. It starts at 9, doors open at 9. 9:30, we will have a Monty Fritz, a representative from Monty Fritz's campaign there to tell us a little bit about Monty. And then at 10 o'clock, we will go with the congressional candidates, myself and Joshua James and Harold Rocky Jones will be there as the congressional candidates. Scott Desjardins has opted not to participate in the town hall. And as I heard last night in Cannon County, dangerous, too dangerous. And my answer then last night, my answer all along, because I have heard that, I've talked about it. If it's too dangerous, go find something else to do. And no shame in that game. If that's where you're at in life, fine. Thank you for your service. People get to a point where it's not. Like I said, if it's too dangerous for you to come back and talk to folks in your own district, then do something different. And it is unfortunate. We are in a time. I'm not going to downplay the dangers out there. And the craziness that is going on occasion in this country. And I think some of it we've grown and allowed. We've got these lunatics on the left that political violence is a thing. Like, show up with better ideas and convince people that they're better. And I think we heard somebody say elections have consequences. Yeah, so they do. And if you are on the short side of it, again, convince people that your ideas are better and get back in charge. But again, not to downplay the dangers out there, but And like, I said last night too, I'm not advocating that we lick doorknobs and play in traffic, but if it's too dangerous, go do something different. And and I would say especially for our representative, any of these guys. I mean, holy smokes! If you've been sitting in Congress for a dang, even currently, I mean, my opinion is 12 years. That's plenty of time. If you haven't figured it out and got stuff done by then, let somebody else pick it up. Especially same team, man. It's like a relay. But we got these people that make a lifetime out of it in a career. That is not how it should be. Oh my gosh. And that's a thing within the district, and I hear about it all the time. We hear about the conversation all the time. Oh my gosh, term limits. Oh my gosh, term limits. Which at the end of the day, we have an election cycle every 2 years, and it's up to us, and that's part of what I'm doing, given an option of imposing a term limit. How better to say, hey, let's go ahead and go home. You can enjoy it now. Thank you for turning this, flipping this district from blue to red. But it's time for somebody new to pick it up and try and move this ball forward, because you're kind of just, in my opinion, our rep is spinning his wheels. He's not engaged. The VA clinic is one of the big things that tells me that. So, okay, but that was Cannon County last night, stuff I've heard. And then also this week, where were we at? Thursday at Cannon County. I think we did some other running around. Out in Colmont. That's right. Did make a trip out to Colmont. They're the Colmont City. Their admin or their city council. That's what I'm looking for. I was able to attend their city council meeting, and there's a lot of stuff impacting us here in Tennessee, and some of it's been going on, but it's now coming to the surface. And one of the big things going on right now is the data centers. I think that's on my list, so we'll get to that. It's not I'm getting out of order and ahead of myself maybe, but yeah. So I was able to hang out there. A lot of interest in a new representative, and any of you out there, help spread the word. You've got an alternative, and I believe I am that alternative to Scott Desjardins. Let's get a new set of eyes on this and what we're doing. And America first is really the agenda we need to be talking about. And what we're getting out of our Congress is not a codification of what President Trump promised to do. And that is America first. I mean, look at these guys. We can't even get the Save America Act done. They're now trashing vets with a bill that's horrible, that they're trying to cut funding from one segment of vets to fund another. That's not how this game should be played. It's what they do, but we got to put the pressure on to this. What is it? The Taking Care of American Veterans, or I haven't looked too deep into it, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to cut from one segment of veterans to fund the Major Richard Starr Act. How about we just cut? How about we cut funding we shouldn't be doing? Some nonsense. How about money to Africa? Why are we sending money there? Knock it off. I would say even the tie-in with Israel, knock it off. We do not have a treaty with those folks, and yet we are tied so close militarily, and they're getting billions of dollars from us every year. Yeah, no. Ukraine, there's another one. Stop it. There's no reason we should not fund these veterans programs. And I mentioned it last night too. We had the opportunity to cut some of this welfare nonsense out of the equation during the shutdown, and we chose not to. So there is that. Okay, I guess let's get on track. We'll see how we go, and we'll go from there. So the clinic in McMinnville is still a hot topic, especially here in Warren County. And interestingly enough, Congressman Desjardins is now popping up in Warren County. It was, what's today? Friday, I think Wednesday. And it was an invite-only event that he held, or was held for him. And I have yet to find a Warren County veteran that was invited to attend this. Fortunately, they did invite and you can see this. So it's the commander of the Winchester post. He made it on the list, and he was able to ask a question. And through there's it's all of 16 minutes and some change on there, the video. So he answered two questions. There was a bunch of stuff ahead of it, and then he bumped his gums about some things, and part of that is taking credit for that clinic remaining open. And he is way down on the list of people that participated. Congressman Desjardins didn't even take up the lead in it. That was Congressman Rose. You can watch some of the other videos, but Congressman Rose took up the lead and pulled Congressman Desjardins off his hands. Our rep, he was more than happy just to well, sorry guys, yeah, I guess you're going to Cookeville, or it's not ready yet, but you can go to Arnold Air Force, wherever they're pushing us out to, Murfreesboro. That he was okay with that. And now we get this story about he was immediately calling the Secretary of the VA, Doug Collins, and then somebody gets back to it. It just irritates me to no end. How about own it? Tell me how you're going to fix it, and then fix it. But no apology about, oh man, we got, because it happens. You get caught unawares with things, but no, there's no, hey, I fixed the issue with my staff. Sorry it happened. And here's what we're doing to fix the problem. And I'll tell you, the fix is that you, as the representative, are engaged. You're on the dang these committees for a reason. And so you're actually engaged with those folks, and he claims a connection with Secretary Collins. And but this is what we get. No, it's just, it happens. I don't even know that anybody got chewed out, because I understand it's a big task, but you've got folks that are supposed to be helping you out. And if somebody dropped the ball, again, and I say this, I'm not suggesting or calling for anybody to be fired, but we should at least hear that, hey, you don't even need to name names, but hey, we figured out what happened. Somebody got a knife hand discussion. I'm not even suggesting that. That's just how. But we sorted it out. Our interface has been fixed with the VA, and so we will not get caught short again. But we don't get that. And then moving forward, and please go listen, go over there. It's on Main Street Journal on the Facebook. You can go over there and watch that clip with him. And like I said, it's about 16 minutes or so. But watch the clip, and I'm not happy with the answers he gave. Again, it's very weak leadership, in my opinion. And the plan moving forward, what he's suggesting is once the government kind of gets going with something, it's hard to stop. So maybe this clinic will stay open. That's a horrible plan. I understand he's not going to make us promises to keep that clinic open, but you're hoping that it stays open. That's your plan, and to maybe to maybe talk with them a little bit more, and then come back in October and tell us the update. No. The plan moving forward is because you're saying you got this direct connection with the secretary. You're calling him, checking in. Hey man, how are we looking on this clinic? Because I'm telling you, as of yesterday, when I went and talked to the folks at the clinic in McMinnville, the VA proper has not taken over that clinic. And in fact, they're making it worse, trying to schedule people and not. It's not a smooth transition, and nor has it even happened. I understand some folks are getting calls that they can get their care again at McMinnville. But if you see this, somebody, or you are somebody, and again, make your own decision. But if we want this clinic to stay open, we have to change them to be our primary care provider. Because what will happen is, come November, they'll be like, well, sorry, we don't have enough people here to justify keeping it open. And then they'll close it. So, but we have to stay engaged. So the plan then is that as the representative, you're continuing with that interface, and then reporting back to us where you're at with it. Not just, hey man, we'll get back, just trust us, wink, wink, nod, nod. And then come October, we'll let you know where we're at. No. Right now is the time to be dialing it in, figuring out, because we were told about funding, we were told about the contractor. No, right now, is the plan. And right now, your staff, whoever's on the hook to be interfacing with the VA, they should be like weekly calls over there and getting answers. Like, what are we doing? What have we done? What's the plan? How are we keeping this clinic open? Because in my opinion, closing that clinic is not an option. Too many veterans that use that clinic. And I've talked to other VFWs, and I've gone around addressing this issue specifically. And I understand that folks have not had, there are folks out there that have not had the best experience in that clinic. And that's unfortunate. But you have every option to go to other clinics. If you don't want to receive your care there, that's fine. But my experience has been, very similar to any other VA I've been. The folks that are there on the ground, they'll, they care about veterans that are there to do their jobs. But the administration of it is flipping horrible, man. Just the VA in general, and not, these folks in the clinic have done their best for me, and in a lot of cases, you have to advocate for yourself, and tell folks what you want them to do. This whole and veterans, we're bad about this. We've got to, one, you deserve the care. You deserve to be service connected. If there's, if the service broke you up somehow, that's a connection you should have, and something you're entitled to. This is where the honor of the contract comes from. But with anything, you've got to advocate for yourself. And we're used to, suck it up and drive on, and, do what you're told. Like, no, we can't do that. Well, all right. No, this is your own healthcare. You've got to advocate for it. And I've had to do that. And they've come through when you tell them, hey, you're going to do the thing. Well, I don't know if we can do the thing. Just do the thing. And then anything else is on me. So, and it worked out just fine. So, but you've got to advocate for yourself in this, and that's how we do it. And again, keep calling up to Washington, keep calling them here in Murfreesboro to the office there, and ask them what have you done? What has the congressman done this week to keep this clinic open? Because I'm telling you right now, if we don't do that, the clinic closes, 100% closes. Especially if Scott Desjardins wins this election, yeah, we're cooked, man. This clinic is closed because if we're not making those calls and staying engaged, because he was more than happy just to throw his hands up in the air and be like, well, what happened? And then if John Rose wouldn't have came on, that clinic would definitely be closed, because it was May 31st that it was supposed to shut down. So, okay. And so that's the way ahead. And like I said, me as the congressional representative, that's the plan, is you stay engaged in that. You stay in the district. You don't pop in. And that's, and I've seen some of the comments on those Facebook posts. But yeah, I can tell you over the last, at least 3 years or so, the Congressman Desjardins visits to Warren County. One was a Reagan Day dinner last year. And that was the day of. He pushed his way onto the stage there and gave a legislative update. Before that, he popped into the ribbon cutting of the new armory. Other than that, where's this guy at? And now, because he's got it's damage control on a campaign and on his job performance, because that's horrible. Yeah, and so now he's legit running around. It's like it's campaign season, man. So I gotta get out and be popping up, and we got the the additional Facebook postings, and yeah, it's interesting to see. My commitment is quarterly town halls in the district, and again, I've got this live stream going. We may have to adjust. I don't know. I don't know weekly if we can do it, but I don't see why not. If I can't cut out an hour to a week or every other week, like I said, we'll remain a little bit flexible, but to tell you what's going on, to me, that's just insane. The technology we have, you can't cut out, a little bit of time to do some interface. And he's got a YouTube channel too, but all they do is put up some clips, or all I've seen is, clips is like, hey, here's me. Yay, me. I'm the chair of a subcommittee now in my 8th term. that, and I'm running the gavel. All right, good for you. And there's more to it than that. I know some of this is, definitely some smack talking because it's a primary challenge. I'm trying to get the job. But at the end of the day, again, if we're not seeing our representative, at least monthly, I would think, in some type of form or fashion, then, and we're allowing it, and we shouldn't be. We should see our representatives. That's just how it is. And then it looks like it's coming up to us, to come up with the ideas of how to keep this clinic open. In fact, the commander out there in the Estill Springs in Winchester, or Deckard, I think it actually is. Anyway, and his question, and I talked to him afterwards. So his idea, but he was approached out there by a doctor here that has staff, and so whether it works or not, I don't know. But we'll push this idea up to see if it's feasible to keep that clinic open. But our representative his plan is just to hope it stays open, because we got it. We got the VA to bite off on it. They're taking it over, and well, we hope it stays open. Hope is a horrible method. It's good to have hope, but is your primary plan? Ridiculous. So, and again, these guys. If we truly believe it's important to take care of veterans, then we need to hold their feet to the fire. These politicians that always tell us, "Oh, thank you for your service. We support veterans," until it comes time to pass some doggone meaningful legislation. Then you're trying to make us pay for the Major Richard Starr Act, or cut veterans short for things. They're trying to cut out the apnea and the sleep apnea and the tinnitus, which is ridiculous. I mean, if you spend any amount of time in, chances are pretty good you got the tinnitus. I got the E going right now. It's always with you. And so to say that anybody coming up, or even if they try and take it away, that's a horrible, horrible plan. And anybody that supports that should be voted out of office immediately, if not sooner. I know we can't get this sooner because we got an election cycle, but okay. So, and like I said, that's those differences, and it's leadership is what it is. Our representative is complacent because he's comfortable. He's comfortable with the margins he's had in these elections. And so he doesn't come back. He doesn't interface with us. He doesn't interface with the agencies that he should be, or his folks shouldn't. He's not getting the information. However, that is working up there. But we should be able to identify these things early and know about it. And they knew about this clinic, they being the VA, and they didn't just wake up and rub the sleep out of the eyes and be like, all right, let's close the McMinnville clinic. They've known. And so this comes to the VA too. What did you do to address this problem? And they blame it on the contractor. This contractor's got other clinics. So the questions then are those other clinics on the hit list? What are we doing to fix the problem? Because closing the clinics is not the answer. I don't know how much clearer I can be about that. Closing the clinics is not the answer. In this particular case, and then probably in the other ones as well. So, or give us some better solutions. I would be open with that. Like, okay, here's your VA card. Go find your own provider, and every provider can submit the billing at the whatever the going rate is, and I don't have to worry about it. That would be nice. That would be an ideal situation. And then my medical information's on there. Like I said, I can go find my own primary care doc and then get the referrals that I need to go to, if I need other stuff, whatever, instead of this administrative nightmare that is the VA. It's a flipping train wreck, man. Okay. I'll tell you how what was that? Shit. I'm not taking a call. It's probably spams. It says it's General Motors. What do we think? I kind of feel like it's spam. I'm going to let it ring all the way through, though. See if they leave me a message. I can do that. Take up the bot's time. So, okay. So that's the VA. Hey, let me know how you feel. Drop a comment if you're receiving your care with the the VA anywhere and what your experience has been. And there are folks out there that have had, really positive experiences with the VA. I understand that. And mine haven't been all bad. Like I said, dealing with, I have, I do can't, it does irritate me to no end when I go in and I have a doc that I can't understand because they're speaking a horrible form of broken English. Yeah, I'm not super excited about that, but so what do? You tell them to give you a different doc. And if enough of us tell them, I can't work with this doc because I can't understand them, then that doc goes and does their thing somewhere else. So that's our VA. Okay, let's go into our national debt. This is, to me, this is the threat. This is the threat to our nation, to our republic, the biggest threat. And it's all from within. Our Congress chooses, they make a conscious decision every time on this to spend in the deficit on or about $2 trillion a year. That is insane. And it's a conscious, they know they're doing it. They know they are doing it. And they choose to continue. We're pushing $40 trillion in debt. And, and I tend to oversimplify some of this stuff, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, I do understand that the government functions differently than my household, but it is the same in that it will pop. You will get to a point where you have to make the cuts. And so we need to start having the hard conversations right now. The servicing of just the interest on our debts is now the top item on the spending. That's the top line item for where our money goes. That's just servicing the debt. That's not getting us anywhere. And so now we're playing funky games with the interest rates, anyway, like I said, I look at it in very simple terms. The first one is to stop the deficit spending. How do we do this? Well, there's actually cutting the budget, actually cutting that $2 trillion in spending, in deficit spending, and not just campaign promises, but actually doing it. I asked about this stuff last night. How do you do that? And one's like, well, if the president comes to you and says, I have this plan, well, okay. Are we doing it spending in the deficit? If the answer is yes, then my answer is no. And that's what we're getting now. Our Republicans have, with the big, beautiful bill, they authorized the raising of our debt ceiling by like $5 trillion. No. How about let's take a hard look, hard discussions, and start cutting stuff out. Some of this stuff we can pull immediately. Some of it we do need to start, phasing it out. Overseas money, we can probably lop off about 99% of that. I'd be okay with 100. Just stop sending it overseas. It's ridiculous. And that's everybody. And I'm not going to make friends with this stuff. I know. But we have ties to countries that we got no business with. And then as we do things, is the juice worth the squeeze? And some of this I understand is easy for me sitting on this side of it, and I do have my own opinions in it. And if the district, as a district, there's support for it, as long as it's not a violation of my my morals, then okay. I will carry that vote in that manner. But if it's I'm not going to compromise my integrity nor my moral courage in this. If you're trying to, if the district wants to do something that's crazy unconstitutional, and I've talked about this, I understand there's going to be some votes, but again, it comes with exit strategies, and ones we talk about is in particular Social Security. We cannot just pull that from people, but we have to start getting the federal government out of it. Look at the mess it is. It's the administration of it is absolutely ridiculous. It's insolvent. We're already being told now to expect, last I heard was 9 years. In 9 years, you're going to expect about a 30% cut in it. No. How about no? I would like a plan, and we can put a plan together, a buyback. I would be more than happy. You figure out exactly how much money you've taken from me, and the numbers are there, and buy it back, buy out my payments, and give me that lump sum. Some people wouldn't take it. I would. Yeah, get my retirement out of the hands of the government. You got no business in any way, unconstitutional. Some of those votes I understand we'll have to take, or I'll have to make, because we have gotten to a position. But some of these band-aids we can rip, man. We SNAP, the dang food stamps. That is unconstitutional, and it's wrought with fraud, waste, and abuse. Quit doing it. Nobody starved, because we have, as a nation, we are compassionate Christians mostly, or just in general compassionate. People got fed during the shutdown, if we haven't forgot about that yet. So let the states take care of that. It's not a federal government responsibility. And then the government can quit taking money to Washington, D.C., filtering it through fraud, waste, and abuse, filtering it through administrative costs, probably ridiculous amounts of administration, and then making the states beg for their money back. It's absolutely insane the way we have allowed this to be set up. So let's get the fight back to that. Get D.C. out of Tennessee. So, and that's again back to our national debt and the spending. These massive packages they do. Just, you know what? Instead of doing all this weird stuff, and the one that pops to mind is the Senate and their doggone dog parade. Quit doing weird stuff. Do the business that you're supposed to be doing up there, and stop. I mean, they go through last one, over 15,000 pieces of legislation come through, and I guarantee you they're not reading it. This farm bill that has gone through, I guarantee our rep hasn't read the whole thing. And I ain't gonna lie, I haven't read it. As the rep, though, I'll put a lot more effort into the analysis of it, and I did. And unfortunately, that farm bill we talk about, we have to ask more questions. Oh, it takes care of the farmers. Which farmers? The answer to that question is the corporations. It favors the large corporate farms. That's not the ones I want to support. I don't know how many of these corporate farms we have here. Maybe I should. But at the end of the day, I want those bills to favor the Tennessee farmers, here in the 4th Congressional District, and get rid of some of this burdensome regulation. If you're not moving out of, if you're not selling stuff out of the state, you shouldn't have to deal with any federal agency, none. It should all be controlled state or local even. And that's, specifically about farmers markets. And then we as the consumer, we forget we have a responsibility in this too. Know your farmer, you develop a relationship with them so you're comfortable, purchasing their product. But so that, let's cut out these big pork laden products, the bills, single item bills, man. It's not, and then you can read it, 10 pages at the max, and then send it down the road. But that's what they do. And then, and it's always like, oh my gosh, well, we have to get it next time. It's next time. Next time we'll get it done. Next time knock it off, man. Do it this time. I'm tired of this nonsense. And this is what we get. Our current rep has said, fiscally conservative. No. He's done now. He's voting yes on raising the debt ceiling, yes on the CRs. No. Cut some of this stuff. Like I said, that program could have been cut. Let's start cutting overseas. If there's no treaty, you're not getting money. Go back. We can change the laws because we're tied so close to the hip with Israel. It's insane. They're fine without us, and there's no treaty. Let's cut some sling load on that mess. Same thing with Ukraine. Like, let Europe deal with Europe, man. Strengthen our borders, and that goes with these magnets that we have, bringing in folks that are going to conduct the fraud, waste, and abuse. I mean, pirates are going to pirate. It's what they do. So let's send them back to the land from whence they came. Nothing wrong with that. It's America first and American first. There should be no immigrant, legal or illegal, that takes precedence over a citizen. That's say what you want about me, but that's the end of the story right there. And if you're here, you're not assimilating into the country, then you need to go back from where you're from. I mean, yeah, we have allowed and are allowing an invasion, and we're accommodating this trash. Look, if it's a Western culture, we don't conduct ourselves or operate under the Sharia law. We don't. And if you're confused about what that entails, you may want to check it out, especially if you're, part of the Rainbow Coalition. That yeah, figure it out. But Sharia law is not something we want any part of, especially if you're a woman or if you're gay or any of that stuff. Yeah, not a good look. But and feel free, to go to these places where you're advocating for. All right, I'm allowing myself to get off topic here. Yeah, let's get on track. So yeah, we talked about my approach to the spending. It's individual spending bills and prioritize. Obviously, we have to service the debt, and then after that, we need to take a look, and that's to include the Department of Defense. We spend more than like the next, more than anybody, like as a single nation, and like it's the next three or four or five nations combined, to include China, and that's another one. Since I sidetrack on to defense, someone answer me this: if indeed China is our biggest adversary out there, like we're told, like we need the Golden Dome, we need all the missiles, and if that because that was more important to Scott Desjardins to go to North Dakota and talk about missiles than to be here in McMinnville with the veterans. But if this stuff is so important and China is such a threat, why in the world are we so dependent upon them for infrastructure items? Why are all our trinkets being produced by China? Why, I mean, probably this, maybe my computer. I mean, why is all this stuff being manufactured over there? How about we stop? How about we just end this thing and quit trading with them? There's nothing says we have to globalize all this stuff, and we're at a point now it's globalized enough. Yeah, but or leverage that to change it. And President Trump, tried with the tariffs, and Congress wouldn't back him up. These guys and Republicans are the worst. Obviously, the Democrats are running around, and anything Trump does is bad. Even the Iran thing, it was saw the deal. Schumer was just hammering Obama about it, and then now that Trump actually does something, he's like, oh my gosh, it's anyway. There's no Donald Trump can do no right in their eyes, and they'll. So that's a given. But Republicans, they'll run around cheerleading. Oh my gosh, look at all the things Trump is doing, especially our Congress. But then they don't back it up with codifying the things. They won't pass the bills. Birthright citizenship, immigration. We all talk about this. Donald Trump closed the borders. Awesome. Now let's clean it up. Let's redefine our policy. Let's put a pause on it. 100%. A pause. And that's the starting point. There is no more immigration into this country for, I don't know, let's pick a number, 5 years. In those 5 years, here's what we're going to do. There are some exceptions, right? But that the general rule is nobody's coming in. Those exceptions we can then look at is like, okay, you're an American citizen, you're trying to bring a family, and this is a natural born. We got to end the chain migration. There's another deal to go into. But we American citizens, natural born, if you're in the process of bringing a spouse or whatever, then okay, let's take a look at it. It's not a guarantee, but let's take a look and get those processes going. Let's sift through everybody that has court dates already, and if you're here illegally, the answer is you go away. And another way to do this, we dry up these programs. It is not on me as a taxpayer to educate these illegal aliens. Their children, them, any way, shape, or form. We hear there's such a boom to the economy, then let them stand on their own. If you come here, we're the only fools that do this stuff. Invite the third world in, and you will become the third world. If you're coming here, you should be able to sustain yourself. And that's, these Somalis, like 80% of these jokers are sucking welfare down, and the other 20% are perpetrating the fraud. I completely made those numbers up, but they're probably pretty close. In fact, it may be, I don't know what the numbers are, but I've heard them, and I think it's actually like 70% around welfare. But the point is that if you come to this country, you should be able to sustain yourself. And there is nothing wrong with that as a nation to enforce our borders and to enforce that. I don't want to live in a third world country, so let's stop importing it here. I don't want a bunch of doggone pirates running around pirating my tax dollars. And that's what happens. Quality Learning Center. And it happens in all the states, but it's predominantly in these blue states because they don't care. And then, and like I said, in the red states too, it happens. And here's my fix. Here's my fix to this. We don't want the fraud in daycare. Okay, federal government, quit doing it. It's unconstitutional anyway. In fact, I got my big print copy of the Constitution here. And nowhere in those enumerated powers does it say take care of people's kids. It's not in there. And not to say we shouldn't necessarily help folks out, but it's not up to the federal government. You do that at the local level, and the churches. Let the churches get back involved in that mess. So. Okay. All right. Enough about that. Let's move on. We'll cover these next ones pretty quick, I think. AI data centers. And what I would like to see is the counties and like what's happening. The counties don't want them. So put your moratoriums in, put your restrictions in, and put them to the point that the market has to fix it. And cooling. A lot of it is the cooling and the noise. Solve those problems, and folks may be on board to get it in. But to come into these some of these smaller and population-wise counties that have very few restrictions on property, and to take advantage of this mess, it's not a good idea. And right now we have, and this is another one I saw, that we have more data centers in the United States already than like the next 19 countries combined. But we run on fear. It's like, oh my gosh, we don't want China. We got to be China. We got to be China. Again, how about we just cut off China and quit trading with them? That would probably solve that pretty quickly, and quit having them manufacture all our stuff. Again, but the impacts that these things have, and I don't know, some of it you kind of hear both sides of it, but I have yet to hear here in McMinnville and Warren County somebody that says, yeah, bring us some data centers. And I went to those meetings and listened to that stuff. Nobody wants them. Which, if you don't want it in your community, that's fine. That leaves it on that business to go find a community that does. And they should not just be sneaking up in there and doing the thing. But again, that's on you, the citizens, especially now it's gaining attention, on we the people to be engaged and involved and know what's going on. And then the other option is start buying up get some co-ops together and buy up the properties where these data centers may look at purchasing. So there is that. And again, all those things to consider: infrastructure, the hiking of prices, and even if they are self-contained, they're still tapping into your resources. Even if it's a closed loop cooling, that coolant is just like the radiator in your car. You have to swap it out because it goes, it's not as effective, and then that stuff is contaminated. Where does that stuff go to get processed? What are they doing with it? And that's where then we can see some regulation on that mess, what they do with it to recycle it rehab it, but just pumping it back into our aquifers is not the answer. But then the other side of that is they'll have the standby diesel generators. But then additionally, if they're creating their own power there, how are they doing it? Pumping in the natural gas to heat the water to create the steam to drive the turbines. So again, they're sucking down the water to create their energy, which again, that's a drain. And now, and it's something that, if we want to stay on the cutting edge of this stuff, sure, we do need to do it, but we need to be thinking about it and not just, demolishing our forests with no afterthought. Like, oh my gosh, we're gonna cut down all our forests. Let's think about it. And, and that's how you do it. You force the market through these regulations to make the fix, but you don't, as the government, figure that crap out. So, and then additionally, what's this AI? What's it doing? And I'm telling you right now, with the FISA, did we talk about the FISA yet? I don't think we have, but they're using it to collect data on us, and the government through FISA is backdooring it and getting information on us. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So the data centers are big, and stay involved. Go to these meetings, or I know McMinnville started a Facebook group. So, you have the folks that are super passionate about them, and God bless them. We need them to go to it. But then it's incumbent upon us to then follow up with that information and be, involved and engaged. Like, oh, okay. And then know the meetings that we have to show up for, but show up for as many as you can. So, okay. NDAA is next in our foreign commitments obligations. I've covered some of that, sprinkled some of that throughout here. And this one, if the National Defense Authorization Act, and this is where a lot of this, the pork gets built in. And why in the heck are we doing some of this stuff? Why is it in the National Defense Authorization Act? It's just absolutely ridiculous. And if it doesn't have to do with the defense of the nation, it should probably be put somewhere else. Excuse me there. And again, this is where we got transgender affirming care in the military in the NDAA that Congressman Desjardins voted yes for. How is that? That does not enhance the readiness. It is not part of the defense of this nation. So how do we do this stuff? And the answer is we've allowed it. So we need to send folks up there that are going to say no to this trash. And again, we're in this NDAA, they're looking to tie us even closer to Israel. And I'm telling you, if you got a friend that is, how to do the analogy? Oh, we'll just say it. So they steal our technology and sell it to other nations, to China. Those are not our friends, man. And we should not be sharing intelligence. No, just knock it off and start decoupling from that train wreck, because that's and some of this other stuff. Let's figure out, incentivize our free market to actually get the refinery stood up that can produce that can refine our own oil. We should not be this dependency is just absolutely ridiculous. It's a train wreck. So yeah, and again, this is what we've heard from Congressman Desjardins: must pass legislation. Train wreck, absolute train wreck, and that's how we get this nonsense. And we can be allies with people, but that doesn't mean we're the ATM, blank check every time you come over here like, oh my gosh, we need money. No, knock it off. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit far on the isolationist spectrum, if you will, but this globalization has really not gotten us a lot. And we were warned about these foreign entanglements by our founders. And I do believe, in investing in protecting our hemisphere. Leave all that trash in Europe. I don't want it here. I don't want let's stop the Muslim invasion. As Christians, if you want to go over there, if you're called to that, and to go over there and evangelize, absolutely. But you don't, you don't bring that mess in there into your own house and think you're going to fix it. These folks are not here to assimilate; they're here to take over, and they're not even trying to hide it. Look at the Council on CARE. What is it? Council on American and Islamic Relations. Same thing. APAC. Same thing. These folks they do not have our as Americans best interest in mind. They just absolutely don't. And say what you want about it. Don't care. This is a Christian nation, and accept it that Christian values was the founding, a republic, and representative government, constitutional republic, not a democracy. A lot of disdain for democracy, but we do have a say in it. Who represents us? So, okay, so yeah, that's so talk about NDAA, run through FISA again. FISA is trash, man. It was another government thing like set up to protect us. It gets over to the executive branch and these agencies, and they go buck wild with it, and they turn it into the interior. 97% of these FISA warrants are approved. That, to me, then why even bother? Just forget just forget about warrants and all that, and just do warrantless searches, because that's what this is. And now with the foiling of the domestic terror plot, like, oh my gosh, we got to pass the FISA. No, we're not passing the dang FISA in its current form. If we can figure out some restrictions, and that's even just an if. I'm a pass on this. Liberty is dangerous, and taking my liberty away to make me safe is what that facilitates. Is then the government. Then I fear my government, because they'll turn it. Then they've turned it against us. You can go back and run the list: Waco, Ruby Ridge. How many dogs have these guys killed? And it's ridiculous. So the FISA, yeah. And I think they're still kind of holding up on that, but I think Congressman Desjardins, he's got a pretty good track record of supporting that trash. So he'll probably, and then the party, like, oh my gosh, they'll push it. And so, but if we get it, the government needs to go build its case and get its warrant, and not then like try and harvest our data on the back end from these, through the AI and the flock cameras. And that's been a little bit of a discussion. And my answer is, get the flock out of here. I don't want the surveillance state. I am not happy. And again, and I understand. I completely understand. And I've seen, I think even this week, they've used some of those cameras to solve some crimes. But those cameras have also been used by law enforcement and non-law enforcement for nefarious activities. So, no, knock it off. So there we go. Okay. Where are we at? Yeah, about 7 minutes here to keep talking some things. Okay, let's talk. Let's go through the calendar, the upcoming events, and where we're at. Hey, and if you've got something, someplace you'd like me to go to, email us or come up on, one of the Facebook posts. I will generally. Oh, that's what we haven't done. I don't know that I had a lot of fun stuff to go through on Facebook. There's some positive stuff in the likes and the shares, but drop us a line. I'm more than happy to coordinate and schedule to come out and talk to folks. So where are we at? So tomorrow, again, in Coffee County in Manchester, 130 Shelton Road, at the Veterans Center is the town hall. We caught all that on the front end. And then after that, I'll be down in Dunlap. I've got an interview going on down there with the Sequatchie Valley Post. So, if you got something I'll figure out something. I'll do something down there. And then next week, I am looking at rolling out to Tullahoma. I'll be out there. And then I think we were looking at something else. Maybe I'll get out to that. That may not work. I was looking going back out to Colmont. They do a, and if you happen to be in Colmont, you live out there or whatever, they do a coffee with the veterans. And at least this Monday, I think it's I don't know, but look at I think Facebook, they post that up in Colmont. If you're a veteran, you want to go have some coffee and hang out at the library. I may, no promises on that. Tuesday, I'll be at the Franklin County Men's Breakfast. That's awesome sauce. And then that evening, I will be definitely in Marion County at their meeting. As long as that holds, that's on my calendar. They're regularly scheduled one. I missed last month, I think. It's been a minute since I've been down to Marion County, so we'll head out there and meet up with my friends out there. Looks like Wednesday I've got. Oh yeah, here's what I'm looking at on Wednesday, and this will be fun, I think. So and this is in Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, and this will come out. Should come out through an email with the Rutherford GOP also. But from 10:30 to 12, I'll be at in Murfreesboro at the Stones River. Let me get the full thing. The Stones River National Battlefield Visitor Center, and you'll see me. I'm just going to park in the parking lot, drop tailgate, and kind of hang out. And I'll probably go in the visitor center and check that out real quick. Hopefully I should be able to get there early. But then I'm just going to hang out in the parking lot, man, and see how it goes. And then from there, so that's till noon. And then I'm going to cruise over to the Sportsman's Warehouse. Same deal out in their parking lot. I gave myself enough time for lunch. I might go to, I think it's Jim and Nick's is right there. So I may grab some chow there. But from 1 until 2:30 at the Sportsman's Warehouse. And then 3 to 4:30, I'm looking to be at the Thorntons out on the New Salem Highway. That's 1793 New Salem Highway. And then I'll bounce over to the Walmart on South Rutherford. It's 2900 South Rutherford Boulevard. And that one will be from 5 until 6:30. And then, so that's Wednesday. And I'll publish some of this stuff. I think I'll make the events. And then, and I ain't even gonna lie, I'm kind of strap hanging on some of these other ones because, and this is with Monty Fritz until he tells me I can't hang out with him anymore, because that's, we're attracting a lot of the same people, and so and whatever I can do to help Monty out, I'm on board. But in Dunlap, he's got an event going on. And if you prefer to go see Monty over something I'm doing, please do. And get that vote for Monty is important as well. But I'm probably in Dunlap on the 25th. Bledsoe County is having a Republican Party meet and greet. I am planning to attend that, and that again that's on the 25th, and that's we're looking like 6 until 8, and that's at the Pikeville City Hall Municipal Meeting Room. What else on Thursday? Yeah, that one there's a homesteading meeting. So if you're in Woodbury, there's a homesteading meeting, One Lion Drive. I don't think I will be at that one. That's on there because I'm going to Bledsoe County, trying to make sure I get to everybody. And then Friday, June 26th, we'll be back on here for the live stream. And then I had kind of committed to go to the American Legion State Convention. I may push up there. That's in Nashville, but I think I have some stuff scheduled. In fact, yeah. So I'm gonna have to contact my boys in the Legion and tell them I may have to do something else because there's some stuff on here. There's some to be determined stuff. So we'll try and catch that up next week. There's something 75th anniversary family fun event, food trucks, tours, etc. going on out at Arnold Air Force Base. Probably get out to that one. And then actually I jumped over, which no, I'm not gonna. I do have some stuff. Well, so I will be at a church on Sunday, addressing the congregation there. I'm not going to mention which one just because just how I'm going to do it. If you want to meet me, in particular, if you go to that church already, you'll figure it out. But if you don't, if you want me to come to your church, let us know. And then I will be on with the Patriot Punk live stream on Sunday, and that starts at 7 in the p.m. and that's over on the Rumble. They start out on Facebook and then push over to Rumble for the good stuff. So I think that pretty much covers it. We'll start, Facebook. I'll put the events out because we're in the home stretch on this business, and we'll do what we can to get out there and meet enough folks to get it done. So there we have it. Again, big shout out to those folks that have endorsed me: Tactical Response, Foghouse Firearms, Campbell Armory, and Chandler Hardwoods. And all you folks that have come on board, participated with us, doing the likes, the shares. Those are my new friends in in Van Buren and Cannon counties. New friends, actually out in Grundy County too. That was at the Colmont meeting. Met some folks and picked up earned a few more votes out there. So. All right. Well, that is the show. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. And if you would do the things, the likes, the shares, the comments, let your friends know. Until the next one, this will defend.